Welcome, everybody. My name is John Daugherty. I'm the film commissioner in Columbus, Ohio, and a board member of Gateway Entertainment and co-founder of the original inaugural Indigenous Filmmakers Lounge. It took place in Park City, Utah, back in January of 2020 before the world shut down and we all got to see each other in person. I hope everybody's staying safe during these crazy times and staying healthy. I certainly appreciate all of the panelists here today, and Liz is going to certainly reiterate that. First, I'd like to thank our sponsors without whom this would not be possible. Over the past week, we've had several panels. It's been great. We've had great response. First, Montana Film Office. Thank you very much, Allison, for being a partner with us. First Nations Experience, Urban Indian Center of Salt Lake, Surf Spot Beverage Company, LB Law, Film Columbus, Porch Band of Creek Indians, Sands Trading Company, Creek Brothers Films, and Pechanga Band of Liceno Indians. I'm going to try and keep an eye on the Q&A window a little bit. I'm going to turn it over now to Elizabeth Bell, who's going to be moderating today. Elizabeth, take it away. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, John. Great to see everybody here today. Thank you all for tuning in. We've got a great panel. It's going to give you some nuts and bolts about how local film commissions can assist filmmakers, and particularly emerging filmmakers, in getting their films done and navigating some of the challenging waters of actually producing a film and putting it in production. Coming today, I'm here in Los Angeles in the ancestral homelands of the Gabrielino and Tava people. And with us today is John Daugherty, who you've already heard from the Film Columbus. He's the film commissioner in Columbus, Ohio. Allison Whitmore, for the film commissioner for Montana Film Office. And Tava Sofsky, sorry, from Oklahoma Film and Music. And Jennifer Loren from the Cherokee Nation Film Office. Thank you all very much for being here today. And I just kind of wanted to kick it off with a very general question and sort of answer them as you like. But could you guys give a brief overview of what does a film commission do? What are your basic services and support that you guys can provide to filmmakers?
I'll start. Elizabeth, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that, because a lot of people don't understand what we do. I'm sure the other women on the panel here with me will chime in. But the first thing I try to tell people is we are not a funding agency. A lot of people think that film commissions give money to people to make films. And I'm sure all of us get questions and phone calls all the time. Hey, I have a great idea for a movie. Can you help me find money? And that's not what we do. So we're here in Columbus. I'm sure everybody else is pretty much the same. We're here to support films that come into the city. And we, most importantly, promote our area to filmmakers to come and shoot films in our areas, mostly backed by tax credits. The nature of the business these days is films are going to chase tax credits. That's just the way it is. So all of us have some sort of tax credit in our state or region. And Jennifer, I'm sure we're going to talk about this later. You just announced a new credit in Cherokee Nation, which is awesome. I think it's great, and I'm looking forward to hear about that. But that's it in a general nutshell from me. I'm sure somebody else can chime in and continue that.
You want me to go, Allison?
Jump right in.
This is Tava from Oklahoma. And it's really great to be here. Thank you, Elizabeth and John and Allison, for having us. Ladies from Oklahoma. So, yeah, I mean, we're the same. I mean, we get phone calls from emerging filmmakers. It could be, or head of a studio, right? I mean, it really ranges here in Oklahoma. We are kind of the heartland for indie film makers, but then now that we're growing, our industry is expanding. We have, again, we've had some of the largest motion pictures and TV series. I'm sure we'll touch on some of that later, but we say we're like we hold the keys to the kingdom of Oklahoma as a state, but we love connecting. I mean, it's just a big dot to dot every day for us to connect. No matter what level you're at, we kind of meet the filmmaker where they are, and we just connect them if they need to. If they're interested in locations up in Cherokee Nation, where Jen is in her jurisdiction, like we immediately will connect them because she knows her region better than anybody, better than we do, right? Whether it's, needing to connect with one of our film friendly communities and getting to that key liaison because they know how to process permits and those kinds of things and sort of navigate the boots on the ground. I mean, we just connect everyone to whatever they're looking for on any level, whether it be, as John said, incentives. We have a great cash rebate that's tripled this past year. And we're really proud of our new film friendly communities that have been popping up. We had 14 last year that became film friendly. And, our communities and our people are what makes everything happen around the state. So being a state film office, that's what we kind of try to do, is just connect. And obviously starting at our website has everything. We always try to point people to okfilmmusic.org. Everything's really there, but we also really like meeting face to face and having the one-on-one and getting to know the filmmakers coming through on any level.
We have the same thing. Montana is set up to be promoting films and commercials specifically. That's our wheelhouse. We've added a lot of indigenous-based projects and new media and things like that. And so we're finding that really, that's really going well with us. But it's the same thing. So I was telling Elizabeth, the business of show business is business. And we're here to help you get your business up and running and make sure you do well. And then we're also here to make sure that you have creative freedom and that you can get the creative that you want.
I'm the newest one here. So our film office, the Cherokee Nation Film Office, is just 3 years old. And so we do the same thing that Tava and Allison do, just specific for, we don't officially recruit for the entire state of Oklahoma. Although that's certainly part of what we do, is trying to bring people to Oklahoma. But then we try to specifically recruit film and TV projects into the Cherokee Nation. The Cherokee Nation is, we're a sovereign tribe, but we're also a geographic location. We're in the 14 counties of northeastern Oklahoma. And so we have the same mission as far as, bringing films to our area as the other film commissions. But one thing that's different about our commission is that we are also equally interested in creating programming to increase the presence of Native Americans in film and television. So we have a lot of programs available for that specific purpose. And what we have found, and sort of the method to all of this, is those two things go hand in hand so well. And it's proven time and time again that you can bring films to your area while creating jobs specifically for natives. And Oklahoma and the Cherokee Nation is a great place to do that. So when we announced our own film incentive just this last week, we really are, putting our money where our mouth is and saying, like, no, we're serious. We want to make the Cherokee Nation a hub for native filmmaking.
Excellent. We're going to get a little more into that also as we have this discussion. But Tava, you were talking about film-friendly communities, and I assume that's something specific to Oklahoma, but what makes a community film-friendly? And not just to Tava, but the others too. But if you wanted to bring film to your community, if you want to do that, what are kind of the things that we should be looking for? Here in Oklahoma, I'll say we've actually had a film-friendly program running for over a decade. And just last year in 2021, when we weren't sure which direction the world was going and so forth, we just said, this is a chance when we can't always physically get out around the state to help equip our communities to really just increase their visibility and success to host films and TV, productions. We said, let's create this year-long certification program. Well, it's actually still, it'll run forever, hopefully, but we launched it beginning of 2021 with the goal to certify as many of our communities statewide in all 77 counties. So we hosted virtual workshops. Our Lieutenant Governor, Matt Pinnell, helped kick us off at the beginning of last year. And by the end of the year, we had 14, and we've got 2 more that I think we'll announce this next week. So
really the criteria, and of course it is all on our handbook if anybody's interested just to sort of learn. We looked, before we put this in motion, obviously we looked at neighboring states. Texas has a really great, Georgia has a really great film friendly program or camera ready program. It's pretty straightforward. There's 3 criteria to check to become certified. And then from there, we have bigger plans, which includes, working with the economic developers in the regions to potentially, help them understand what it looks like to have a local incentive and so forth. But the 3 criteria that you're all waiting for is designate a liaison. It's so simple, but it's so important because of turnover in local government. They need to know, call Jen, call Allison, call Abby, you know what I mean? And that is so key. So designated a liaison that's under that local government entity. It can be paid or not paid, and everyone's kind of taking it in different ways. The second is help us increase your exposure and visibility by helping populate our locations directory. And we use Real Scout. And so minimum 10 locations, and most communities, no matter what size, can do that. And there could be 20 different angles of one, obviously of one empty hospital or whatever that may be. And then the third is build a permit, work with your city, your local government to create a permit. It just makes things easier. And again, you don't have to charge a fee. I mean, nominal permit fees around Oklahoma in cities are very nominal, but it's helping the community stand up better and represent themselves better. And I mean, we want them to really experience the economic activity that they should be feeling in their local community. So we're just empowering each community, and what it'll leave permanent infrastructure is the goal of the program, so that it's not, year after year, we're not like figuring out who to send people to. Because again, when I send somebody to Cherokee Nation and say, call Jen, or Tulsa, call Abby, or whomever it is around the state, we know that they're going to be in good hands again. Once that production, if they decide to land there, boots on the ground, it's all success from there. So that's the program.
Yep. Anyone else want to talk about creating film friendly communities and what it takes to do that within your territories?
Well, here in Montana, we only have 200 communities in the whole state. And some of them are, less than 100 people, a good majority of them. And once again, we're right with Tava. The liaison is so important. It's incredibly important to have the liaison. And then does the city council who needs to approve you to come into town, do they meet more than once a month? Can we get a hold of them? If we have a car commercial that's going to come into town, can we reach out to those people and get approvals? And that's really important. And then we also have a number of tribal nations in Montana, and they all have different councils and different meeting schedules. And so we keep a good relationship with all of them too, because the tribal chairman or their deputy can cut through a lot of red tape. And we're really sensitive to the cultural issues too. We're like, no, you do not go and do X thing here. It's not permitted. But we've also had people who've come in with very detailed plans who want to do interesting cultural activities. And we've had great success. So it's all about planning and communication. And for us, we, in the summer, a gigantic tourist destination. It's all about hotel support with our hoteliers.
Great point. And so I think so much of what maybe people don't understand about the film commission is how much of this liaison work you guys all do for filmmakers on the ground. And maybe you guys can speak a little bit to, things that filmmakers don't think about that you guys help them sort of navigate, and, some pitfalls to avoid, and maybe some success stories that have come out of you guys being there and being able to help them navigate these waters.
One of the things that I deal with, and this kind of goes back a little bit to film friendly, is we are in the process of streamlining our permit application process. And permits here in Columbus are handled through the Recs and Park Department. So I've been working with them for the past few weeks and streamlining, obviously all online and just asking the right questions and that sort of thing. But one of the things that I try to remind people from the get-go when they first call is deadlines and timelines and getting permits and things like that. It's not something that we can turn around in a day usually. We're a big city. We have almost 1 million people in our city, so there's a lot of moving parts. And just reminding filmmakers and line producers how important it is to get your applications in on time and give us time to help you. So help us help you type thing, So that's one of the really big things that I deal with a lot, is just reminding people about the lead time it takes for permits and not taking that for advantage and then not, going on with that is not going into, somebody's office at Rex and Park at Friday at 4:45 p.m. wanting a permit for Saturday. And a lot of times we've made it happen, but it makes my relationship with the Rex and Park department, it strains that relationship. So then it's something that we have to mitigate.
We have a lot of federal and public lands, and those wheels turn slowly. We really want people to plan. If you've spent a year planning your film, spend a couple months planning your location. It's so important.
I was just going to jump in kind of what John was talking about, the turnaround time. One of the things that we do on the state level is, and it's continuous. It's no different than, relations with your state legislators, for example. Like, we're talking to them year round and hopefully less during session because there's so much other noise from their constituents, right? But it's important to keep relationships strong on every level year round. And so what we've been really working hard on here in Oklahoma is working with Oklahoma Department of Transportation, Oklahoma Department of Corrections, because we get those calls. We need to film inside of a prison or outside of the prison. We need a car chase. I mean, we're starting to get these, larger kind of projects that need more support in some of those levels. And so we do these introductory meet and greets. Like, that's what we've been doing a lot already this year on kind of all those levels. And we emphasize the same thing you're saying, John and Allison, is just the turnaround time that is going to take to close a lane, or do you know what I mean, for whatever that it is on a state, an interstate, or county road, or whatever that it is. And so those things, again, and we just put everything on our website and try to, and then we have, there's guidelines you can print for the turnaround time and all the things that is important to Department of Transportation. Like, they have to keep everybody safe driving around in the state of Oklahoma. So helping us help you, it's so important. And planning, Abe Lincoln said it best, give me 6 days to cut a tree down and I'll spend 4 sharpening my axe. No different. That's my screensaver right now.
That's a good advice. Jen, I know you deal with some unique issues, and you guys also provide some unique services with trying to, make available Native crew and also dealing with some cultural issues. If you can talk a little bit about some of the stuff you guys encounter.
Yeah, one thing that we get asked a lot is, especially right after we announced that we were the first, tribal film commission, we were pretty much inundated from writers and directors who said, I've always wanted to do this Native project, and now you exist, so you're going to help me make it happen. And one of the requests that we get quite often is, I have this script and can be any tribe. So can you make it Cherokee so that we can come film it in the Cherokee Nation? And we get it over and over again. And I understand people are not coming from a bad place. They're coming from a place where they're just, naive to that. And so what we're trying to constantly do is educate people that, when you come film in the Cherokee Nation, first of all, it doesn't have to be Cherokee. You can be anywhere filming in the Cherokee Nation, almost anywhere. And second of all, you should have, if you want to make something Cherokee, it needs to be Cherokee by the time it comes to us. So we're not going to take a script and turn it Cherokee for you. I had, for example, a really talented and well-known writer-director contact me who said, I'm non-native, but it's always been a dream of mine to do this native project. And I have this script and I would love to make it Cherokee and film it Cherokee Nation. And I said, send me the script. And I read it, and it was in snow-capped mountains with wolves, and like it should have been, in Montana, And so I realized that you can change that script into any landscape, and that's fine. But that's just kind of an example of what we say is like, well, we're not here to rewrite your script for you. We're here to help connect dots. We can help you find a cultural consultant that you could hire that could help you do that. But we're not here as a commission to do that. So that's just one of the issues that we deal with.
I know, Allison, you get some of this up in Montana as well, because there's lots of folks who are doing stories. If they're not specifically native, they've got native storylines in them. And maybe speak a little bit to how you help navigate those waters.
Right. It can get interesting fast. We have had scripts come by that have the Crow and the Blackfeet, getting along with each other in 1880. And it's like, the Crow and the Blackfeet traditionally aren't that friendly in 1880. They got together for the Battle of Little Bighorn, and then they weren't so interested. And, there's a lot of like crossed wires a little bit. And we are also really working with filmmakers to bring contemporary stories. There's love and drama and heartbreak and passion in all of our stories. And we really feel that there's some great contemporary Native American stories that can be told. Of course, Reservation Dogs is a great example. My friends are just thrilled because it's got every inside joke. I grew up on the Fort Peck Reservation, which is Assiniboine Sioux, and it has, every humorous thing that I grew up with. I just love it. And so bringing that interesting sensibility to filmmakers who want to come to Montana and opening the door to say, hey, this is the idea that you have, but we're going to take you to a place where it can be incredible. We're going to up your game. We're going to introduce you to that cultural consultant. We're going to introduce you to that amazing native actor. We're going to introduce you to this landscape and turn you loose, and you're going to make a better story. We had a film recently shoot completely in Blackfoot language called Suyi about both smallpox and the introduction of the horse. And that was really well received. And, everyone, now this is a combination too of, we have a native language program in Montana, and we were able to use the ground building that we had done in native language resurrection to combine it with these filmmakers to make sure that the language was accurate and that they were happy with the outcome. So there's, we can really bring some resources to bear that state government's already doing.
That's awesome. And sort of building off that, so we're going to come back to talking about some of the on the ground stuff, but I also want to give you all an opportunity to talk about the incentives that each of your territories offer. So we'll be starting with Columbus, and then we're going to finish with Cherokee.
Great. Thanks, Liz.
Yeah.
So we have a statewide tax credit. It's $40 million a year. It's unfortunately broken up into two application periods, which we're trying to change. One due December 1, and another one due June 1. And that's $20 million per round. We want to change that. We're working on changing that because, producers have enough on their plate already trying to get a film made, much less trying to, schedule around a tax credit. So it makes things a little difficult. So it's $40 million a year. Demand far out paces supply. Good example. For the past 2.5 years, I think, each $20 million round, we had about $80 to $100 million in tax credit requests. So as we continue and as I try to expand the tax credit statewide, I always point to our legislators, look at this, the demand that is here. And people are going to go make that film somewhere. They're going to spend that money somewhere. So in my case, let's do it here in Ohio. But but yeah, also working on some local incentives here locally in the Columbus and Mid-Ohio region. And then we are I just got the second version of the bill last week, getting ready to introduce a new incentive separate from the motion picture tax credit, which incentivizes brick and mortar and things like employment. So, for example, as we look forward into building sound stages in the state, we were going to provide tax incentives for that and infrastructure build out and that sort of thing. So I've been working on that for a couple of years, and that's exciting. And that's a big step towards growing the industry at this point.
Allison?
We've had a company do a conversion into studios. We have a little bit of studio space. Yay. We have some other people working. Because of our tax credit, our tax credit's been in place for a couple of years. It's a 20% base incentive. It's got a 25% incentive for local crew. And one of the great things about our tax credit program is it also has an incentive for working in underserved areas. And we do that based on census, population, and we put that out with ours. Our tax credit is interesting because you can apply anytime. But it's a first come, first serve credit on the back end with Department of Revenue. So being well prepared is important to turn that credit around quickly. And we also have the benefit of not having a sales tax. So that's a little bump that can help, because Montana can be logistically challenging. It's the fourth largest state. And it's a big place. And sometimes there's not a lot of people where you want to go. But we've had everything from Top Gear to Spielberg. So it's, you can make it work. And the credit has really brought us a lot of attention. We've had a lot of filmmakers the past 2 years, ironically, during COVID. Mm-hmm. And the credit's been a major part of that.
Tava?
Awesome. Well, I'll just start with that. The state of Oklahoma has had an incentive since 2001. It was called Compete with Canada Act, because that was way long time ago when everything was running away to Canada. Back when I was actually in Los Angeles working in the business, but it was a wonderful program. It used to be 35 to 37% cash rebate. But like John, we kept pre-qualifying future years. So there might be an 8 to 10 year renewal, but we just kept, because statute allowed us to pre-qualify future years. So we maximized an 8-year program in 2 years with $8 million annually for the cap as of end of 2020, basically. And so last year was a major game changer. So that particular program is just going to sunset in 2027 when everybody gets paid out, right? And in that statute, there was a provision called high impact, which afforded us to be able to get the largest motion picture that we have ever had in Oklahoma, called Killers of the Flower Moon. And so that program was very successful, but because the money was draining, honestly, I mean, everybody in Oklahoma, we had so many industry stakeholders, much like Cherokee Nation and so many others that I could name, that came together and just helped everybody working together to paint the picture and show the numbers and the anecdotal, which is really important too, of how this culturally impacts lives in Oklahoma, creates the jobs, helps small businesses. I mean, we're built on small businesses in Oklahoma. And so in 2021, there was a new program called Filmed in Oklahoma Act that passed. And we tripled our incentives from an $8 million cap to $30 million annually. So that's what we're working with right now. Super grateful for that. And it, like John, it's been really well received. We've had more than double in the first 6 months of opening the portal. We've had more than double people apply to use it. More, 60 plus million that we could unfortunately accommodate. So we're really coming out of the gate strong with this program. I will highlight the basics. It's 20% base, like Montana, but you can reach up to 38%. And I think one thing that sets Oklahoma apart is it's a cash rebate. It's worked really well for our state, and filmmakers love it. 60 days on the back end after everything's submitted, 60 days, you get check or your wire of your rebate. So it's a well-oiled machine, being a cash rebate. But the interesting thing that's really different about our program now is that we start at 20, but you can get 5% uplift. There's multiple uplifts. And it's very intentional. So 5% if your TV series, or if you can commit 3 pictures in 3 years in Oklahoma, that's called a multi-film deal. So you can get either TV or multi-film up to 25. If you commit to filming at least 25% of your filming days on a soundstage, we have 3 new sound stages that are certified, and definitely want to give them a shout out. Cherokee Nation opened last year, and I'm sure Jen will talk about that. She has a wonderful virtual soundstage that is state of the art. It's so elite. I just feel it's so wonderful going in there. Green Pasture Studio is, they converted an old elementary school, and so they've got on 12 acres in Spencer, Oklahoma, which is rural Oklahoma outside of Oklahoma City. And they train under that roof, Oklahoma Film and TV Academy. It's just a really special place out there. And then in the heart of our state's capital, Oklahoma City, we have over 1.3 million square feet of a campus called Prairie Surf Studios, which has 5 sound stages, and it's the old Cox Convention Center in Oklahoma City. So we now have 3 sound stages, and a year ago we didn't. So there's been a lot happening here. Everybody is just working so hard. But back to the rebate, if you spend, again, meet that minimum threshold, you get bonus 5% for filming on a soundstage. So that's driving businesses to those facilities. And then we also have a rural Oklahoma uplift. So I won't get into the weeds, but it's on our website, 2% or up to 5% if you're filming in rural Oklahoma. And that's just important. That's just, no matter how big or small your industry is, it's just important to spread the wealth around the state. So that's been well received. We also have an uplift for post. So we want you to stick around. We want you to stay and do post. And then separate from the main Filmed in Oklahoma program, if you're filming here, we have a standalone post incentive. So you might film somewhere else, but you want to come here because we are growing that infrastructure as well. And we have some really state-of-the-art post facilities. So we're really trying, like John, we're really working on building that permanent infrastructure. So we're rooted, and the industry will sustain itself. That's the goal. So those are the highlights of the program. Really proud of it. It's working well. A lot of people filming here now.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Liz, I just want to pop in real quick and
Yes.
feedback on what Tava said about filming around the whole state. It's really important. And it's really important to legislators, as each of us go out and talk to the legislators. In Ohio, we've had issues with, the 3 Cs, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland. Well, all the legislators are like, well, what is this going to do for my part of the state? That sort of thing. So having that program in place to incentivize to go around the state is super important, something that I think is important. It's not in our legislation right now, but I'm certainly interested in working on that. But I think that just needed to be reiterated because it's a great point, and it's something that we all think about.
It's been great to see the explosion of growth in all of your territories. I mean, it's really been extraordinary to see what the incentives have done, as well as the hard work you guys do on the ground. And with that, I know Jen's got a new program that's come on, the first tribal film incentive. Maybe talk a little bit about that, as well as your soundstage, which I also understand is really amazing. So
yeah, thank you. So just kind of piggybacking off of what Tava and John both talked about, the rural uptick in the Oklahoma film incentive was something that I worked really hard to lobby for, because most of the Cherokee Nation is rural Oklahoma. And, when you drive through some of those towns, they just need a boost. And, just having one film there in a small town, just not only morale, but economic activity that they never had seen before. So we are really looking forward to seeing more of that as our state incentive grows and as we've added our own. So we announced on Tuesday a $1 million Cherokee Nation film incentive annually. And it can be used either on its own as its own film incentive, or with the Oklahoma Film and Music Office's film incentive. We have been working with entertainment partners as a consultant to write the incentive, and we're still writing it. but we know all of the basics of it. So it's one of the things that was really important to us was to try and make the process of applying for and receiving our incentive as painless as possible for producers. And so we know that they already go through a process with the state of Oklahoma's incentive. And so we try to write everything to make it as streamlined as possible so that they won't have to like do a whole new process for applying for hours or receiving hours. And so we're really trying to look at every rule and everything that Oklahoma has and see if it applies to the Cherokee Nation incentive, if we can make it apply so that it's streamlined for producers. And what ours will also be a cash rebate, and we have all of the details that we know right now, which is quite a few, on our website, cherokee.film/incentives. But it will be essentially, you'll get a base incentive. We're incentivizing above the line only if you hire natives. So for every Native American that you hire, and we do the checking to ensure that they're a native as we define it, you'll get a 20% cash rebate for each one of those. And then it goes up to 25% if they are a resident of the Cherokee Nation and Native, or a Cherokee Nation citizen. So then below the line, we're at 20%. There's sort of similar to how the state of Oklahoma has the different levels for, you get 5%, you add on. So we are incentivizing, we'll do a rebate for any boots on the ground in Cherokee Nation. Doesn't matter, native, non-native, from Oklahoma, not from Oklahoma, doesn't matter. You get a base rebate of 10%. If they're non-native from Oklahoma, that goes up to 15%. If they are native from anywhere in the United States, then you get 20%. And then it goes up to 25% if they're native from the Cherokee Nation or a Cherokee Nation citizen. And so you max out 25%. And then we also will do the 20% base for expenditures within the Cherokee Nation boundaries, and only during that time that you're boots on the ground. So we will rebate on anything for boots on the ground in the Cherokee Nation. And if you spend that money at a Native-owned business, it goes up to 25%. So we're really, we're incentivizing and rebating for any project that comes here, native, non-native, whatever. But the more involvement you can, the more you can involve natives, the more rebate you'll get. Oh, I should add that we also have an incentive for native written projects. And that's something that was really important to us as well, because we definitely want to support our native written projects.
That's great. And you talk also maybe a little bit about your soundstage and also your crew database, which I know everybody's trying to maintain. We'll get into that in the other places, but I know specifically, Jen, you guys do a lot of work to try and identify native crew for folks who are shooting not just in Cherokee, but in Oklahoma and elsewhere sometimes.
Yeah. So we have planned to roll out our incentive since we started our film office 3 years ago. Tava has heard me say so many times, we're going to have an incentive. But she always made me feel better with that saying about sharpening the axe. And I was like, that's right, I'm still sharpening our axe. So here we are. But yeah, so over those 3 years of knowing we were going to have an incentive, we immediately rolled out our Native American talent and Native American crew directories on our website. And over these 3 years, we've been building and building those directories. And so right now we just hit the 1,000 mark we have 1,000 people in our Native American talent directory. And then in our crew directory, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's growing pretty quickly too. But what's awesome about it and what we hope to spread the word about is that it's not just, you don't have to be Cherokee to get into it. It's citizen of any tribe. You can get into our directories. But now that we roll out our incentive, we're like, and look, here's where you find the people to be incentivized off of. So I'm really excited about that. And then our soundstage. So we have it is a virtual production soundstage that is in Owasso, which is in the Cherokee Nation. It's about 15 minutes from the Tulsa International Airport. So Owasso is a suburb of Tulsa. And it is a 27,000 square foot facility. We built out what we call our XR studio, or virtual production studio. It is about 9,000 square feet of it's a sound stage, but inside it has an LED wall, LED ceiling. We have motion capture capabilities. So if you've seen The Mandalorian and the technology behind The Mandalorian, we have that exact same technology in our facility on a smaller scale, but we can do all of the same tricks that they did. And it's just, everyone talks about virtual production or real-time filmmaking is another way to talk about it. Extended reality. It's, it is definitely going to have a huge place in the future of film and television. And so it's already, we've been using it internally for almost a year now. We've done some wonderful internal projects. We're working on some state-of-the-art, like groundbreaking new projects right now for our tribe, which is always exciting. But we've also had we've partnered with some films to kind of just get them in there and see how they would use it, and donated the space, so that we could see how a film would use it. And so we've done a lot of driving scenes, with our big LED wall, and we will always use it for Cherokee purposes, but we hope to, in the future have a mix of opening it up, for a lot of rental, and then using that revenue to then create more Cherokee content for ourselves. So we're really excited to have it.
Are you accepting applications now for your incentive?
We start accepting on March 1st.
Great.
But we have a film commissioner, Kevin Shand. I brought him on this last year. He used to be the commissioner for the state of Colorado, and he is having conversations with people who want to learn more about the incentive before the application window opens. So just shoot us an email, and we'll make sure that somebody gets back to you.
And
Awesome.
I just want to just piggyback on Jen, and she knows how proud that I am, and just love everything that they're doing. And she's got support from Chief Hoskin and your CEO there, Chuck Garrett. Like they're doing it right. It's just such a great model for anyone really to look at. And so in a 3-year span, but the infrastructure, I just wanted to touch real quick on the infrastructure that she's talking about, but then also the Real Scout piece of it, the crew directory. When we now have 3 certified sound stages. Now everybody else is calling. I mean, I can't tell you how many other people that I'm working with that's like, well, do you need another one? I've got land, I've got money, and it's just the saying, Bill, that they will come, and it takes time though. It really takes time to root these things, and they've been working on it for years, and the other couple sound stages as well. But it's really been neat to see those assets pop up around the state. It's just, and everybody working together. It's just been so wonderful. And then I was just going to speak to, I will never forget when you first launched and made your announcement about your crew directory. So we worked together on that, but kind of behind the scenes, to make sure that if somebody's registering in her directory, it's populating on the state side as well. And I remember visiting a set. This was back before COVID, when we could visit sets more frequently. And I remember walking on a set, and I had like 4 female filmmakers, like tackle me almost. They were like, Tava, like we're I'm Chickasaw, I'm this, and I'm Cherokee. I mean, and it's just this sense of pride, like they will also qualify to work up there and get maybe a little bit of a bonus now with your incentive. But it's neat too. It's just I'm just so proud, of just, honoring the indigenous people. We have 38 sovereign nations in Oklahoma. So, I mean, I feel like you guys are just leading the way, and it's just really neat to see. It's just dreams are possible.
And I know, all of you guys maintain a certain amount of databases to help filmmakers find crew, find talent, find locations. And maybe, as Tava was saying, how much that's helped promote the native filmmakers within Oklahoma. Promoting local crew and talent, I know, is a big part of what you guys all do. And maybe you guys could talk a little bit about how you make those resources available to filmmakers, but then also how it really promotes your local talent that might not otherwise have an opportunity. John or Allison, you want to jump in?
Well, we just recently added a talent database to our listings. We had Real Scout add an entire database because people come in and they say, oh, where do I get extras? And it's this mad scramble. And with Yellowstone, They're hiring 900 to 1,200 extras a season. So at least we're getting some people on set, which means then we reach out to them if we can, or we go to events. We say, hey, it's free. Put your picture and your name and your address and tell us what you do. So we have a combination of I speak Crow and I have horses and I also am a race car driver. And we have a photograph of them. So we've been able to develop that a little bit. And then we have a massive services database. You'll laugh, but logistically, I had one of my assistants a few years ago go by and put in every post office, every auditorium, and every porta potty company in the entire state into our database. So it's those pieces that you're going to need it, and you're going to end up outside of Great Falls in some little town. And you're like, oh, we need X thing. And then they also, our talent database and our crew database also turn into liaisons for us too. I had a crew member call in from Big Sandy up by the Canadian border who said, I'm partially retired. I'm going to move back to my hometown. And if you need something, give me a call. And poof, we've got a liaison there now. So those things are really important. They're on our website. We promote people, and same thing, Tava, I've gone onto sets, and it's the most thrilling thing to see the people that you've been supporting working and doing great work. Lily Gladstone's one of our actors from Montana for Killers of the Flower Moon, and the location manager, Mike Fantasias from Libby. And, his first film.
Love Mike and Libby.
Isn't he great? He did Always with Spielberg and Libby. And,
incredible.
Those are the type of people that, we have around the country. And then I can call Tava and say, hey, one of our really great people is coming and you're going to have a great experience. And, we all talk and we all work together really closely. And a lot of crews don't know that I can help you get to Colorado. I can help you get to Ohio. A very good friend of mine is the film commissioner for the city of Chicago now. And if you watched any Chicago Fire and PD, whoa, Chicago is bananas. But we have those resources. John, especially being in the Midwest right there, what a great resource for filmmakers.
Yeah, thanks, Allison. And Liz, yeah, we use Real Scout as well. And Cleveland is also on the Real Scout platform. So we share crew and resources in that database. And it works really well for us. And and just like Allison said, it's not only Ohio, but we're always sending people elsewhere and try to help out any way we can. So it's a big network, and amongst us film commissioners, it's 99 times out of 100 a very friendly, collaborative network, and we enjoy that.
And I know all of you guys do sort of unique things to help filmmakers in your community sort of develop their craft and get that start and open doors for them. John, if you maybe could talk a little bit about the Beloved Community, a Healthier Linden project you did, which was specific to a filmmaker there in Columbus. And then some others might have similar stories to share.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. For me, it's very important to, look ahead 10, 15, 20 years and start developing the industry and people in the industry and get out to the kids in the city and the neighborhoods that wouldn't have an opportunity to get into this industry or even think about getting into the industry. For several years, I've done a teen script writing contest, and how it works is we do 2 free workshops. Right now, I'm partnering with Columbus College of Art Design. So one of their professors, Kingsley Nyarko, he teaches 2 free workshops to kids, and we really, really try to reach out to underserved neighborhoods and do 2 free workshops. After the workshops are done, we encourage the kids to submit a 3 to 5 page script. We judge those scripts, and right now we take the top 2 scripts. And the senior filmmaking collab class at Columbus College of Art Design actually makes that movie. Several years ago, I would partner with a local production company and pick the winner, and that winner, their movie would actually get made. And then we screen it for family and friends, and then at a film festival if the timing's right. So it's a really exciting program, and we get great response from it. The girl who won the first time I ever did this many, many years ago, before I was film commissioner, when I was at a production company, she still keeps in touch with me, and she's still a writer, and she writes for Audubon and has written several scripts. So it's exciting to see that talent grow. I was at a church in a neighborhood called Linden here in Columbus, and it's seen its hard times, Linden has. And I was at a church there speaking a few years ago, talking about the script contest. And it was really sad to say that some of these kids, what kid doesn't want to make a film, but yet all of them just assumed the film industry is for rich white dudes. So I was like, oh God, this sucks. So it was really great to reach out to them. And Liz mentioned this program we had called A Beloved Community. And a few years ago, or 2020, in the midst of, all the uprising in the summer and the riots around pretty much every state and city in the country, we did a contest and gave three $5,000 awards to Black filmmakers to tell their story of what's going on in the city. And one of those winners did a great short doc, and a few weeks or a few months after that, Nationwide Children's Hospital, which is a huge children's hospital here in Columbus, came to us, and they wanted to do a documentary about the Linden neighborhood and how they're making an impact. And so Sterling Carter was the one who won that contest. I connected him with Nationwide Children's, and it just became this great relationship. And now they're going to be doing several documentaries about that neighborhood, and Sterling is becoming a much better filmmaker, and he's growing, and he's actually making money. We screened his film last week here during the Rise Above event, and it was great. And it was, he hired an intern, a young intern from the Linden neighborhood, and the intern's now going to film school at OU. So it's kind of, you start these things, and it's going to take a long time to see results, but the results will come, and it'll snowball eventually. And, being in the Midwest, a lot of kids that go to school here and are in the film industry, they're going to want to go to the coast to see if they can make it or try it out. And a lot of people want to come back eventually. So you're just creating that whole opportunity in that atmosphere. Starting them young, starting as like liaisons and things like that as kids. It's very, very important. It's been important to me for a long time. And I think it's important to a lot of us, especially at Gateway Entertainment, in creating those opportunities.
And Allison, I know you guys have a grant program that you do in Montana.
We do. And it's a grant program that is both for residents Montana and non-residents. We have three components: feature film, television, short film, and then residents kind of go within all of that. Our normal fund is about $500,000 a year. This year we got a bump. We have $1.5 million to grant out. So there's going to be some very happy people in about a month when we announce. But we've taken that opportunity and partnered with a lot of our other state agencies. Our Department of Labor got some really interesting opportunities with CARES money. And we were able to put out some training grants working with them. We assisted them on doing some logistics, and we were able to train, I think, 25 people in a multi-day training and filming production assistant and crew program. And then several of those people immediately went to work on a film in Missoula with J.K. Simmons. So we've had great luck with that. And we also have some creative arts programs coming out of the high schools. We have a nonprofit called Media Arts in Public Schools that works all across the state. And they've been really focusing on our Native American communities. And we're also working with some community colleges to get, some baseline training programs put up. And so that's been really good. And then we've been working with the 48-hour film program, that film competition. And that's a really inexpensive way for filmmakers to take an idea and really run with it, get a little bit of exposure. And that all ties into our university programs. We have two programs, which are full-on degreed film programs. And we've had some incredible alumni come out of that. One of our alumni is a head executive at Lucasfilm. Another one is doing, John Dahl does a lot of television directing. So Yellowstone and a lot of episodes of those kinds of high-end television. So they're available. They come and talk to us film festivals and come back. So we've got lots of little pieces that we're working with. And the general arts community in general. All of our states have arts councils, and we've really been encouraging the film people to participate in the offerings from the arts councils. It's ironic, we think of film as very creative and a business. So a lot of filmmakers don't know that their arts council can help them grow as artists. And here's something for you guys too. Recently, we've been working with our export support in Department of Commerce. We have an export division that helps people export their product to other countries. And so any of the big overseas film festivals are basically sales trade shows. Cannes has a huge trade show component. So we've been able to work with export to get our filmmakers to these trade events to sell their projects.
Great.
And that's been a great collaboration. So that's a couple examples.
That's awesome. I know, Jen, you've got some fellowship programs you run. I also know you do some labs. And then Tava, maybe you can talk a little bit what you guys do at Oklahoma.
Yeah. So we have our fingers in all kinds of little educational opportunities. So I'll just go through a few. Well, here's a success story. So there is a Cherokee author named Faith Phillips she taught school in Stillwell, which is like our most densely populated Cherokee community in the Cherokee Nation. She was a school teacher there, and she is also an author, and she writes true crime and stuff like that. And she wanted to break into TV, but she didn't really know how. So she got one of our fellowships. We partnered with the Native American Media Alliance out in Los Angeles. And she got one of those fellowships to learn, unscripted television writing. And I will say that as of yesterday, I've heard that she's selling her first project, probably to, I won't say who, but there's 3 big buyers for her project, hopefully. And so but she's also taken advantage of, we also gave her a scholarship, one of our scholarships, because we partner with OSU, Oklahoma State University, Tulsa campus. And they are doing some really great writing workshops. So she also took one of those scholarships. We just invested $150,000, donated it to OSU so that they could create a film lab on their campus to start a film program. So they will keep building their film program there, and we are completely supportive of that. We give scholarships to natives for any workshop that they do that has to do with film, writing for film or anything film. We also partnered with the Oklahoma Film and Television Academy, which is based out of Oklahoma City, but we had them come up here, and we filled a class, and they actually did it in our sound stage. And so that was wonderful. Then one of the graduates of that, and that was like a Set Ready PA course. And one of the graduates of that program is now interning with a director in Oklahoma City. So it's great to see that growth. And then we also partnered with John Hillcoat, the director, and we just announced the winner of a apprenticeship with him. And so in February, we have a Cherokee Nation citizen who will actually go out and apprentice under John for 6 weeks on the set of George and Tammy out in North Carolina. And we're paying for that, for him to go out there. And so we have in Tulsa, there's a guy named Tate Steinseek, who is like just a renowned special effects artist. And he makes monsters and dead people, and it's so cool. And so we partnered with him to do a workshop. He's native also, and lives and works in the Cherokee Nation. So it worked out really well. So we're doing workshops with him that we will provide scholarships for. So that's one of the things that we do is we remove the barrier of cost, right? So we just make sure that anybody that gets to can take these opportunities doesn't have to worry about how much it costs. And so we pay for it and give them a slot in those.
Awesome. That's amazing. Great work. Tava?
It is amazing. We're okay on time.
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
We got time.
Cool. I'll give a few examples. I think similar to Allison, we have, as the state, we've got our hands in a lot of different opportunities out there. So one thing that I wanted to lead with is Jen talked about apprentices. So one feature actually that we implemented into our new Filmed in Oklahoma incentive program is that we now require, the legislators love it, everybody loves it. I mean, everybody loves it. We require, depending on the level of your budget, you to hire Oklahoma apprentices. So it has worked. We did a pilot workforce development program actually with Killers of the Flower Moon, since it was such a sizable project. We developed it pre-pandemic, so we modified it, but it really helped us. I mean, they had close to 70 different apprentices that were basically PAs that really just didn't have the experience. So it was a really great project. We're still surveying and learning from that experience, that pilot project. But because time was of the essence with our incentive program, we are now requiring, so if you're a lower budget, 2 apprentices, which, a production apprentice, right? And they just have to be reporting up and learning from that master tradesman, if you will. And then if your project is, upwards of like a major TV series would require 16 apprentices. But I just recently reported with the projects in our pipeline for this current fiscal year we're in, we will come out on the other side with 88 new apprentices that have had this opportunity. And they need to be paid, whatever the production can do. So that's been really, it sets the tone here in Oklahoma. Also, during the application process of our incentive, we kind of reward you if you're hiring higher percentage of Oklahoma hires. And that's just part of the big, kind of the onboarding and the award process. And then speaking to Jen talked about Oklahoma Film and TV Academy, they have graduated. They call them their Set Ready course. They do. They opened end of 2020, and they've had, I think they're hovering around 400 people coming out of this Set Ready course. And the success stories, I could go on, but several of them worked on Flower Moon, and I know has worked on like Reservation Dogs. And the feedback we get from the producers is really great, that they come on set and they know how to work a walkie, and they know how, the lingo, and they're hustlers. And so there's so many great success stories. We partnered with our Oklahoma City Community Cares office, who at the beginning of the pandemic, Allison touched on this, is they had, a lot of money they needed to get rid of before the end of that year. And so we connected them, and a lot of Oklahoma City residents had opportunity to be trained and get their foot in the door. So, I mean, we're well over, just in the past 18 months, well over probably 500 newbies, new production assistants that are just ready to hit the ground running. And Reservation Dogs, I mean, I have to just mention and highlight Sterling Harjo. I mean, he is the consultant, and he is the inspiration. He is the story of Reservation Dogs. And what a success story. We're just so proud to have him, here in our state. And he's all about, of course, hiring, Oklahomans and Indigenous in front and behind the camera, as you probably all know. And one success story from that show is that it was so important to have more below the line Indigenous filmmakers working on that. So they partnered with the local IATSE, and they made a pathway. So within a year's time, there's now all kinds of, the union waived fees for people to be able to step into some of those roles and be trained. And so it's about partnership and just creating those pathways of opportunity. There's so many more things happening. And honestly, we're promoting those things, pushing those things out through social media, through e-blast, making sure people around the state know there's opportunities to be an extra, or to be, to do whatever, working in front or behind the camera. Just really, and then we may sponsor things and do scholarships as well, but there's so many to talk about. It's honestly my big goal moving forward is workforce is so critical to the mission. Our people, having people to plug into all the roles is organizing that, and just collaborating more with everyone that are doing really great things around the state. So so many success stories. So thank you.
Yeah. No, I know, several years ago, I had something like Colors of the Flower Moon come into a state. It would have brought a whole production team with them, and it would have been a different scenario. I think the landscape has changed a lot, largely because the folks like you on the ground. And I think it's a testament that you got 70 apprentices into that show. And I know from personal experience, people I'll be like, my son's working on the show, or my nephew's on the show. So I don't think that would have happened several years ago. I think we've made a lot of inroads in getting productions to really engage with the local community on a variety of different levels. And I think you guys are a big part of why that's all happened. So that's awesome. I know in addition to the stuff you guys do at the front end, I know also you guys are very helpful at the back end of a film as well, especially for the smaller filmmakers, and helping them figure out, once their film is done, maybe helping it find a home, find a screen. Maybe you guys can talk a little bit about what you do to support a film after it's made. Allison.
Well, I'll bounce in. We've got 12 film festivals in Montana right now of varying sizes. And we normally do quite well in the bigger festivals. We've had films for years run the Sundance, South by, Cannes, Berlin, Toronto, Tribeca circuit. And that gives us some great contact with programmers, and also in helping people get their film onto the festival circuit. Then we also have limited, I'm with John, we have limited contacts and distribution, but we do have a couple people who've been willing to come to Montana and take meetings with emerging producers and have them pitch and present in a very positive manner. Not the Hollywood stereotype is you go in a room and there's a light and a bunch of people at a table and you say 2 sentences and they say next and you're out. But more of, 2-hour-long meetings about their projects, feedback, and then with distribution executives or people who work in that field. And then, of course, when your movie comes out, we, help with socials, and we also help with press, and we also help with maybe talking to you about different markets. I just talked to someone the other day about the Dove Family Foundation seal. They have a beautiful little children's movie. And I said, great, submit it to the Dove Family Foundation. That opens you up this whole market of family opportunities, festivals, distribution, and they didn't know about that. So that is the type of marketing that we help them with, is like, hey, did you know that this distributor focuses on family films, or this distributor focuses on independent films and horror, and we know at least a phone number there and a name to get you an introduction. So that's the parts we're really happy to get that. And then we also do, for if it's the right time of year and the right kind of film, we will help set up and fund multiple screenings across Montana with our art house cinemas. So we also have a great relationship with our art house theaters. I have about 6 of them. And I know all the programmers and all the executives. And I've just set up a screening of a film shot in Butte, Montana. The producers reached out and said, oh, we had a great time in Butte and our film just got released in England. And I said, well, how about a screening? And it took us 8 days to set it up. They're selling tickets starting today, and the theater holds 700 people. So we're really hoping for a good result. So those are the kind of things that can really give a bump to the filmmakers.
Awesome. Sean, I know you do stuff in Columbus to support.
Yeah. I was just going to chime in. Have definitely, just like Allison, have lots of great relationships with film festivals, and we have multiple film festivals here in Columbus, and we connect with them. Really good example, 2 really good examples. We had 2 films shoot in 2020 in the height of COVID. One was in September of 2020, August, September. Another one was a little before that. And we've got 2 distributors here in Ohio that are great distributors, Gravitas and Good Deed. And that film that shot in the height of COVID called They, Them, Us made a small festival run. And they Gravitas ended up buying that film. And just this weekend, we did a premiere in Ohio, did a premiere in LA back in September, did a premiere in Ohio a few weeks ago, and then it's being released nationally in theaters this weekend. And so this weekend we're doing a couple screenings around town and celebrating John Sherman and his film. Again, it's a great film, but he sold that to Gravitas. And the other film is a film called Poser, which was a really small budget, $100,000 film, got into Tribeca, got into, the narrative competition there, which was amazing. And they just sold to Oscilloscope, and that'll be coming out in the next month or so. So just like Allison said, we have lots of connections in all those, and distributors and film festivals. And if you're finishing up your film, don't hesitate to ask us, what we would suggest to do with the film. I always tell filmmakers when they come to us on the front end is, think about what you're going to do on the back end. Don't think about just finishing your film. Think about what are you going to do with it when you finish it. If you have nowhere to show it or send it or whatever, it's kind of pointless. But think about that. But yeah, same like Allison. Just lots of connections out there, and I'm happy to share those connections with people and make their film a success.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that 2 films shot in Montana are actually in the Sundance Film Festival this year, God's Country and Bring on the Dancing Horses. So, lots of great things can come when you partner with your local film commission. I don't know if you have Tava or Jennifer, if you want to talk about some of the post-production work you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, I will just say, the past 4-5 consecutive years, Oklahoma's had projects. The year before was Minari. Before that was Paul Dano's movie called Wildlife. And anyway, I could go on and on. But you just made me realize that we didn't have a film at Sundance this year, although there were multiple ties. My team, huge shout out to my team, but they do such a great job of finding any little Oklahoma tie they can. Jesse Eisenberg filmed on Wild Indian that was, I think, the year before Minari, and his directorial debut was amazing with Julianne Moore, world premiere at Sundance this year. So anyway, we always find those little ties, but I would say probably we do a lot of curating panels with filmmakers, let them kind of speak to their experience working in Oklahoma, and on whatever level that may be. If it's at a film festival, obviously this year, our state's largest film festival, Dead Center Film Festival in Oklahoma City, will actually be in person, Lord willing. And so we really worked closely with our film festivals, and we have 20 plus around the state of Oklahoma, to help them, network and, like I said, speak on panels or whatnot. We're pushing on the back end when they supply us with, press material. We're pushing things out on social, obviously. And then one thing just to mention, as I think it's really important because it's helping not only the film itself, the creators behind the film, but as often as we can, we may partner and host with the entity screenings, and our role is inviting. They always say we need some VIPs, so we invite, usually depending on the size of the theater. We just did one for we worked closely with the production on Stillwater with Matt Damon, and then right before Christmas we worked with a local company called Oklahoma Set Medics, who just wanted to be nice. She's our premier health safety supervisor as of COVID. And she wanted to just host a cast and crew screening, but she wanted VIPs, about 50. And then we're working on one currently with a company, an animation company in Oklahoma City with one of their films. And so we invite from the governor to lieutenant governor to the legislators that ideally will try to curate a list that's where the filming took place, right? So if they filmed in Tulsa or wherever they filmed, then we try to get those senators and state representatives there, because that's going to help not just that film and pushing the message out, but also really, statewide, it's going to help our industry grow, because when the legislators see those great stories on the big screen with their popcorn and, they can talk about it, and I get the calls afterwards, it really helps kind of all boats rise with the lifting tide or whatever that is. I'm all about little sayings today. Anyway, we do lots of various different things like that to kind of help the whole industry.
Yeah. And this year, I think probably one of the most number of Indigenous films that Sundance has had in a while, maybe ever. There were 15 Indigenous films that premiered at Sundance this year, which is amazing. A testament to the huge explosion we've seen and opportunity for Native filmmakers and storytellers to have a moment and hopefully forever and ever here in the industry. It's been an exciting couple of years for Indigenous filmmaking and storytelling. So, and I know, Jen, I know you guys do a lot to support as well. So I'll speak a little bit to.
I mean, I'm taking notes here on what everybody else is doing, but we definitely do support, all kinds of film festivals. We work very closely with Oklahoma's biggest festival, Dead Center. And then, we do, we have our own, since COVID, drive-in movie nights. And we make sure that we program all Indigenous films and short films and student films. And so we love to support in that way, but always looking for more ways to do that.
That's awesome. So we're going to wrap up a little bit here, but I just want to give you guys an opportunity. I think one of the things is we really focus on emerging voices, particularly with this programming and in general with Gateway. So you guys have seen a lot, you've done a lot. What would be your advice to a young emerging filmmaker who's just trying to find their footing? What's your best advice to them on how to move forward with their craft and the business?
I'll start because it's really simple. Get on set. Figure out a way to get on set. Be an extra, be a PA, be somehow on set.
Find a mentor. So important.
Love it.
I would agree with get on set and find a mentor. And I'm also going to add, be that well-rounded person who pays attention, right? Get to know your economic development people, get to know your arts council. Who are the people in positions of power at places you want to go to? If you're a screenwriter, get on screenwriting Twitter. Screenwriting Twitter is bomb. Those guys give great advice. Start reading the trades. Who are the agents? Who are the managers? Who are the studio heads? All these things are connected. You go like, oh, this studio sent someone to this obscure film festival in Italy. Why did they do that? What are they buying? What does Gravitas buy versus what does A24 buy? Neon is doing amazing purchases. What are they looking for? And then slide into that niche. There's a niche for you. If you're a horror person, if you don't know Blumhouse's back catalog, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. So, really dig into that. You've got to get below the surface into the mechanics of filmmaking.
Just to add to all of that, and we've talked about this a little bit over some of the past panels, get out there and make something. I mean, I've had people come to me over the past several years being like, I don't have money to make something, blah, blah, blah. It's like you have your phone, just get out there and do it. You can make something on your phone, learn how to do it, and not to steal from Nike, but just do it. So that's, I think that's really important. And, these are all definite, really good points.
Yep. Agreed. And I think, and Allison and I have talked a lot about this, and same with the rest of you, just to know the business of filmmaking as well as the creative side of it. And I think it's a little bit what you guys are all talking about. I don't think most film schools teach you the business side. So a lot of young filmmakers come out with they know how to shoot a camera, but don't necessarily know the mechanics of the economics of filmmaking. And it's really important to understand that side of it too, particularly if you're going to be the one in charge of the film. So I cannot thank you all enough for your amazing advice and sharing your experience and the various programs and support that you guys provide. Anyone wants any closing remarks? That now's the time.
Yeah, Liz, I wanted to chime in, and I wanted to say thank you very much. And I wanted to say it was great to be the only white man on a panel. And I personally know several people who have made films and projects in Montana and Oklahoma, and they couldn't say any nicer things about everybody on this panel and how they've had such a great experience there, and they can't wait to go back and make films. So whatever everybody here is doing, they're doing the right thing. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, we're just so pleased that Gateway, is doing this work in this format to become an avenue and to become a door into doing great creative work in the industry. I think it's incredibly important. And, we want to spread the creative world around. Everyone has a creative muscle. We want you to exercise it, and we want you to do really well. And, be recognized for your incredible work.
You and Allison and Jen and this esteemed panel. I'm just proud to be a part of it. Thank you, Elizabeth, and for the great work that you are doing and providing the doors and the gateway to opportunity. And I would just say in Oklahoma, our state tagline is "Imagine that," and you really can if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. And we are. I would say our strongest asset here in Oklahoma is our heartland hospitality. Our locations are so diverse, 12 ecoregions, and we've got incentives and we have the skilled crew and the talent and the business support. But the heartland hospitality is really something sweet here that we hope everyone can come and experience. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Happy Sundance. Can't wait till we can get back together in person.
And just point out that that landscape behind you is Oklahoma. I don't think
It
a
is
lot of people
Oklahoma.
know, especially
Yeah.
Northeast Oklahoma. There's a lot of beautiful.
We have waterfalls.
We do have waterfalls, and then you go to Northwest Oklahoma, and it's desert.
Yeah.
So we literally have it all, and so it's fun. Jen.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I have learned from everyone on this panel, and I will continue learning from everyone on this panel. And I'm grateful to be here and for everybody's support, and look forward to the future.
Thank you, guys. And I just to those watching, these are your friends. These are your advocates on the ground. Reach out to them. These are these are people that are there to help you. There's no dumb question. There's no stupid question. Ask them. They're there to help you, and they're going to be your best advocates. So reach out to your local film commission. They're there, and they're a great, great resource for you. And I want to tell also, we have one more program today for the final to wrap up all of our programming for this year's Rise Above event. And it's going to be our awards ceremony for our youth script writing competition, which I have to give a shout out to Jen because her daughter is the winner of our script writing competition. And we're going to be doing a professional table read with native actors are going to read her script aloud. And we're super excited to honor Lillian and the great work she's done. And the other, we had a great group of participants who, again, much like the way the Ohio one was done, we had 2 workshops, and we had a great group of Native youth who came in and participated, and we're super excited to announce our inaugural winner. So hopefully we'll see you guys all in a couple hours for our table read.
Congrats.
Thank you guys. Appreciate everybody. Yes. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.